About this Currency. Currency dropped a joint album with Harry Fraud called VICES. Currency just dropped an album, or an EP, I would say, with Jermaine Dupri a couple of months back. Currency is super consistent, and Currency gives his audience and all of us hip-hop listeners, I mean, what we ask for every time. What were your thoughts on Currency's Vice album with Harry Fraud?
Might be a producer preference. Preferred the Jermaine Dupri album.
Me too.
Think that might be a producer preference.
Yeah.
Might be an ATL sound type of preference.
Right.
What I will say is that this man's versatility officially knows no bounds. Like, for him to turn and do the project with Jermaine Dupri and then to switch speeds like this and do a project with Harry Fraud, you know what this sounded like to me? I'm like, this is like a modern day Miami Vice soundtrack type of album, like with some New Orleans gumbo in it.
Yeah.
And it's like he just keeps meshing styles and blending worlds and doing it so effortlessly that it's like it's going to be hard for him to have a greatest hits catalog.
Yeah.
Like his songs are so wildly consistent that, you know, that's the thing about it that makes it so tough to rate him. Is it's like,
Yeah.
well, I like this record. Well, I like that record.
Yeah. He's a guy that gives you 4, 4.5 across the board.
Consistently.
And he does it with a variety of
I feel like he
things.
consistently makes songs that are 4s out of 5s.
Yeah.
And I mean that like in the most complimentary way possible.
And I think I was telling you offline, it's hard to really even pinpoint if somebody asks me like, yo, what's your favorite Currency verse? It's hard to pinpoint that because he's so consistent.
What's your favorite Currency song? What's your favorite Currency album?
I still got a favorite Currency song. Address is still my favorite. I played that the other day after I listened to Vices. And but I think those are some things that kind of set the tone for what we know Currency for today. I see Blue Collar Hustle in the Super Chat says that RZA is Magic Johnson. Okay. But what I was going to say, though, as far as Currency, right?
No,
Currency's for New Orleans, right?
Right.
He makes projects with, not just project songs, whatever, with producers, from everywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say started with Ski Beats. He started with No Limit, right? And then he went to Cash Money.
Correct.
So obviously he's rhymed over that production, right?
He's been around New Orleans.
And when he came, to, I guess, the Currency we know of today, Address and stuff like that with Ski Beats, right? He's rhyming over up top producers. And then boom, Alchemist. I can do that. I can do the Harry Fraud. You want me to take it back to, Jermaine Dupri? I can do that too. And he does everything at the same level, and it's impressive, man.
I feel like he started off kind of like, with the quote-unquote bounce music that's more associated with his hometown. And he went through a transitional phase where he made what I would like to call, like, Southern Smokers music, And then after that, he's just been like in this bag of, well, I feel like I know all the things and I can do all the things. So I'm actually going to, and comfortable enough with his core and comfortable enough with himself that he takes these chances, because that's essentially what they are. They're chances that he's taking. But what I do find is that he does have a groove and a pocket where he, I think, excels a little bit more, and that's like when he's doing like the record with Larry June and Jay Worthy. Mm-hmm. When he's in that mode, that's your high level Currency. But the problem, well, not the problem, it's a beautiful problem. When you take him out of that level, he never goes too far above or below that level.
You said something though, the fans. And an artist like him who gets consistent fan support to that level, it empowers him to be able to consistently make this type of music and consistently take those chances.
He deserves
consistently give the fans what they want. Killer Mike said something in his Breakfast Club interview when he was talking about his new album, Michael. He said that Run the Jewels afforded him the opportunity to be able to make an album like this. And Currency has a Run the Jewels type of following. And those type of groups, They might not go out there and hit all these billboard numbers that people see online and this and that, but they have a consistent fan base that shows up for them, shows up to shows. They support the music when the music comes out, and that's the kind of fan base a Wiz Khalifa has, a Currency has. That's why they're able to take chances, but they also know what their audience wants, and they're not trying to deviate too far outside of that.
I mean, first of all, the Wiz, it's not totally the same things because Wiz has a black and yellow.
And he has We Them Boys and stuff,
We Them
too,
Boys, right. So he has, some major notarized songs.
But to the core, though,
Well, see, here's what I mean is that, well, the core is kind of true to Currency because Currency's always been true about giving the core quality music.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what's really afforded him the capability to take these risks to talk that we're speaking of is because, well, he really doesn't fail you when he takes those risks. It's like, you know who he is, and he's a boss. But if hip hop had like a structure and he was the employees, he would be your best employee. Because he would be the guy that always shows up to work on time before everybody, always exceeds expectations.
Yep.
And no matter who it is that you put him with, the team somehow ends up doing a good job. And it's not by accident that when you keep putting him in different places. And so that's what I mean about like, well, he's prime time. It's just like, well, on what level is he prime time? Because
we'll have a legacy conversation.
That type of consistency is hard to do, especially through eras now. Because now he's doing it through eras. Like this is probably the fourth era that he's lasted through now.
It is. It's really impressive, the longevity. Blue Collar Hustle with the Super Chat says, Magic won his finals MVP rookie year and then orchestrated everyone else's shine just like RZA with 36. Magic's 5 chips is RZA's produced 5 classics. What I was going to say, though, to your point also, let's think about this. When your favorite artist, at least in, let's just say, the 2000s, late 90s, mid-90s, when they made weaker records, it was because they were chasing something, right? A lot of the times when your favorite artist went out there and made a record that you really don't care for like that is because they were trying to make a song for an audience that wasn't theirs yet. You know what I'm saying?
Pause right quick. I feel that what you're talking about is what has kept Pusha T and the Clips from ascending to the next level because I feel like they should have just doubled down on what they are great at. Go ahead.
Okay. And Currency, artists like him.
That's what Daytona and Hell Hath No Fury are. It's them doubling down on what they actually do.
Right.
Well. Right.
And Currency doesn't have to, it doesn't feel the need to do any of that. So you don't have those moments where Currency made a record where his audience is like, don't fuck with that, because he's not trying to get people outside of who already rock with what he's doing. And there's a beauty to that, and there's a level of consistency to that, too. I think in our era, there were a lot of artists who were trying to expand their audience, and they lost their audience and didn't gain anybody new by doing so. And I think artists like Currency have seen those things, and they refuse to do it.
Well, I think he watched the game change, too, and so he realized where he had to pivot. You know, sometimes when you're inside the room, you see the learning curve and the change, even before people like you and me. So maybe he's just somebody who's wise and saw the way that the game was changing and said to himself, well, if I'm being realistic for an artist like me, he's a smart businessman. It's like I think he picked the path that worked best for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why merch and everything is great in hip-hop now, because the people who do have a loyal audience, the Currencies, the Run the Jewels, they can do what they do, and their fans are going to support it, and they feel that love. You know what I mean?
You know what, just real quick, it kind of made me sad when you said that about Mike, about Killer Mike, and here's why. You're talking about a guy that's saying, and this is what I mean about how some things are institutional and systemic. How much more diverse and multicultural do you want hip-hop to be than Outkast?
I mean, I can't think of any.
So this band walks into the game with them, right?
Yep.
Platinum single, Grammy award-winning single, On Stank On Ya, biggest selling album, I believe, quadruple platinum within like a year and a half's time, if not sooner. And he's doing an interview where he's saying he needed Run the Jewels to make an album like this.
Yeah.
Think about what that's really saying on a few levels about how the music business works and about how societal ills work.
I've said this on the show before, and in reference to Killer Mike and his start with Outkast. I think the point that he caught Outkast and the Dungeon Family, they were onto something sonically that wasn't the best fit for him. And I think that, you know, him coming around Stankonia time, I mean, imagine if he was around Akumanai ATLians time.
I was thinking, imagine if he's around actually Soul Food time.
Yeah.
He's perfect for Soul
Imagine
Food.
what songs he would be on, and imagine the type of audience that he would amass from those songs that he'd be featured on when they were on that kind of wave. But once they got onto a funk futuristic wave, that really didn't fit where he was at that time specifically.
Right.
Maybe now, but back then.
Maybe he's versatile enough now that he can fit in those pockets.
Exactly. You know what it reminds me of? It's like when Miss Jade got with Timbaland and Missy. Miss Jade was talented. Wasn't the best fit for her. Coming out of Philly, having to catch these Timbaland beats, you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't the best fit for her. And it's nobody's fault. It's just, you know, it's that Cannabis Wild Clef thing. It's not the best fit.
Well, also,
I'm glad Killer Mike recovered, though.
Well, also, too, understand that when you're great, though, you can work with almost anybody.
Yeah, but out the gate, you're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? Some people are that great out the gate, like Nas.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Like prodigies like that. But
some
people need development. And that's not great for your development when you're with a team that is not fitting you the best.
I'll give you an example of somebody whose development has been supreme, pun intended. Ghost.
Yeah.
Ghostface on Into the Wu-Tang, and Ghostface on Iron Man, and Ghostface on Supreme.
And you know what?
That's 3 different MCs.
You're right.
That's 3 different MCs.
And I'm going to speak to an MC who I give a lot of props on this show.
Actually, Ghost actually rhymes better on the Purple Tape than he does on Iron Man. You know that, right?
Yeah, he does.
Now, his caveat now is like, well, the beats are better. It's like, well, those are the best beats ever.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm going to mention somebody that I give a lot of props to on this show. T.I. Out the gate on I'm Serious, he had talent, but he wasn't where he was on trap music or, you know, any of those mixtapes. He needed that level of development. You know what I'm saying? And
he needed a year or 2.
Yeah, and even when you got talent, you still need that development. And a lot of people like I'm Serious, but if we're honest with ourselves, I'm Serious is not the level of those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th albums.
I like it, but it's not better than those albums. Correct.
He doesn't perform any of those songs.
Well,
from
you
that
can
album.
see the talent. He flashes on that album.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
Yeah, you can hear the talent, but he's not the artist that he became.
Oh, no.
And that's development.
He don't know how to make what you know.
So Killer Mike coming in the room. Killer Mike's coming in the room with this Stankonia style and these beats. These guys are developed. They're vets now. You know, they're used to all this stuff.
They stopped
and he's
rhyming
having
over.
to catch this.
Look, they stopped rhyming over beats like Black Ice and Cell
Exactly.
Therapy and Two Dope Boys. Right.
Imagine him being around during those times. That would have benefited him a little more, I think.
He could have caught some of. Yeah, he could have. I could see him catching wreck on more Goody stuff than even Cass stuff.
I agree. He would have been all around it.
Like, think if he's around for Still Standing too. I think he would have sounded great on Still Standing.
Black Ice. Esquire with the super chat.
I was thinking
says,
Dirty South. Think about Mike's think about Mike's motif.
It back.
Think about Mike's motifs as an artist and what he raps about.
I would like to hear Mike and Cool Breeze.
I was thinking about Mike and Cool Breeze.
It's as aware as they are with their music. I think that would have been a dope collaboration in '96.
How about
95.
this? Imagine Killer Mike getting a career teen type of beat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Even imagine him being on East Point's Greatest Hits. And for the people who ain't hadn't listened to that album, go listen to it.
How about that? Some of them Witch Doctor tracks.
Oh, man, Holiday, in my opinion, is one of the best beats to ever come out of the city.
I just played Holiday on the station head yesterday.
Well, shout out to Empress Cersei producing that, man. A lot of people don't know that.
Cersei on the ones.
Yeah, Empress Cersei on the beats. Esquire with the super chat says, Spitta is the face of the blog era mixtape circuit. His verse on Airborne Aquarium and Money Machine are ridiculous. One of the most underrated ever. Agreed. And you know what? With that being said, I know we didn't have Currency drop into our top 50, but with a wildly consistent career to your core like that, where does that leave somebody in hip-hop on an all-time list? Because I'm leaning towards the fact we might need a digital era list, man, because the rules are different.
Ooh.
The rules are different.
When did the digital era start?
I think we're Esquire's talking. Like, we're talking about the Dat Piff era. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like
05?
the... What would y'all say? I'm thinking 07, 8-ish.
I'm feeling 07.
Yeah, 07, 08-ish. Things start changing.
How about this? I was talking to one of our followers today, and he lived in Cali in his mid-20s at the same time than I did. And he brought up today, he's like, man, I ain't never gonna see no shit like what happened with the game out in Cali again.
Shout out to the game.
And I was like, fam, I was there too.
Yeah.
I tell niggas about it all the time. Don't I talk about being out in Cali and what Game Buzz was like?
And I wasn't there, man. I didn't get out to Cali till maybe 09.
I can't qualify. Mike, you have to understand, I'm leaving Atlanta when Jeezy's buzz is at its peak.
Is that the only thing you can compare it to? Because Jeezy's buzz here in Atlanta was crazy in 05.
And what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not the same.
Games was bigger?
I was here. I watched it.
Games was bigger than Jeezy's buzz here?
I don't think you understand. That's why I try to tell people. And
That's
so
big.
For me, the streaming era ends like after the documentary stops being relevant. Because where I was in the nation and where I seen music at the time, those days of an artist taking a coast, a corner like that, over. I mean, Mike, he had shit on lock.
Okay, I think we could do it like this. The last two albums, well, actually, the last album I can think of from the physical era in hip-hop that was widely successful, the Carter 3. Is that fair to say?
It's not, that's what I'm saying.
Does it end there?
So this is what I mean is that, I mean, all respect due. But if you think niggas in New Orleans was playing Lollipop and got money the way niggas in Cali was playing
everything,
Put You on the Game, Don't Worry with Mary J. Blige, How We Do with 50, Hate It or Love It, Running with Yayo, Higher. I mean, the whole damn album was playing, Mike, like, and it was regular and it was nothing. And when I mean it's playing, you walk into a grocery store, you walk into like you name it. And so it's like respect the Wayne, because I was like in the South again for the Carter 3. No, that's what I mean is like I realized that time had died, because it's like you can't take it like that no more.
It's crazy.
Because it's too digital. So look at when did the documentary come out? When did the Carter 3 come out? Because we talking about two different hip-hop worlds.
Documentary is 05. The Carter 3 was 08, I believe.
Yeah, then it's two different worlds.
Yeah.
So 07 might be the shift.
Okay. Because I remember being in New York that summer when the Carter 3 dropped. And I was surprised with all the love that Wayne was getting at that time.
Here's some of the shift that you need to know, too, is I think, if I'm not mistaken,
125th and St. Nick, right?
2006 is Hip Hop is Dead and Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
These guys are habitually going platinum.
Yeah.
Those records didn't move. That wasn't about the albums being subpar for their catalogs, although both of those albums are those things. It had more to do about the shift in terms of how the climate had changed, in terms of how things were actually being counted.
I think T.I. was coming at that point.
A lot
Jeezy
of guys were
was
coming.
There.
Jeezy was there. Ross was there.
Yeah,
Wayne
Jeezy,
was there.
Ross,
This is their
right.
era. This is their time. But this is also the shift. And so those guys that we're used to going platinum no matter what they put out, well, it wasn't a guarantee anymore. And that's because things had changed. And also Get Rich or Die Trying had happened. And people forget. And how about this?
Get Rich or Die Trying change shit.
How about this? Go put It's Dark and Hell is Hot in Volume 2 together. That's Get Rich or Die Trying.
Right. OG Winston with the super chat says,
sales-wise too, Mike, if you put the two records together sales-wise.
Yeah. No, I get you. I thought that's where you were going first. OG Winston with the super chat says, Currency has been great for years. He stayed true to his sound, unlike Wiz, which backfired on him. Wiz went too pop. See, that's the thing, too. When you have that kind of audience that Currency has, if Wiz makes a record like We Them Boys, he's pop now. You know what I mean? Like, that audience isn't forgiving at all. Like, they won't let you do anything outside of that. But with that being said, though, I mean, where do you think that puts somebody like Currency?
I was actually about to ask you a question. Should you feed that audience? Because when you said that,
Mm-hmm.
I thought about Griselda right quick, and I'm like, well, should they be feeding their audience what they're feeding them?
Well, we
Because
could look at Conway, right?
because if you got as many classic songs as they made,
Yeah.
as many classic projects as they made, we only got one gold plaque to show for it. Don't you have a right to question the audience a little bit?
As long as their audience is purchasing merch and stuff, I think they don't, and that's why they don't. I believe that they're monetizing on their audience another way, so they don't complain.
I dig that, and that's the.
And I think that's why they don't deviate. I would imagine.
Right, and that's a hustler's ambition. My hustler's ambition is to want it all, and so I would be forging questions because this is kind of what I brought up last year with the whole streaming thing. It's like, well, I think what's going on is that there are guys in my age demographic that, quite frankly, don't know and don't give a damn like that, and ain't gonna change because they just doing things the way they used to doing things. And it's like, fam, it's not 2005 and the documentary not out. I'm gonna need you to catch up to how things get done. And I know it's happening, Mike, because I just got caught up.
Yeah, I think the way they look at it, I would imagine, is the fact that, you know what, we got a paying customer here. You know what I'm saying? And let's get this customer to pay for something.
Right. But here's what I'm saying is that a smart businessman or woman thinks, well, I have this customer, and this customer is already a customer, a client of mine. How can I maximize what I'm giving this customer? As in, I see this customer buys my merchandise. How can I get said customer to buy my album, go to my shows? Because what you have with said customer is a base and a demographic to build off of. But you have to source into your demographic and your base and find out what they want outside of what you're already giving them. It's like when you got good soil on farmland, you don't go, a half an acre up and start planting there when you don't know what the soil look like. If the soil's already good right here, you find ways to keep that soil fertilized and to make sure that soil's good season after season. That's what a good paying customer is when they frequent a product of yours. So if you're offering multiple products, no, you should be sourcing out the people that are already contributing to the product and figuring out how to transition them. We are having these conversations behind the scenes. I did a post last week where I talked about getting the 1 million people on Facebook over to YouTube because there's only 12,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Christopher Hogan with a super chat says, Currency is the Devin Hester of rap.
Yes, and according to Ron, like and subscribe to the page. Ron's over here like that's a great time to tell people to like and subscribe to the page.
Like and subscribe to the page. But yes, back to what we were saying though. Where does that put somebody like Currency all time?
I don't know if he's going to make the top 50, Mike.
Okay.
Just being honest, even with all those glowing things being said. Because here's what I would question.
You got people like Juvenile out here.
I was about to say, we're about to maybe have a New Orleans conversation. It's like, well, is he even a top 5 New Orleans rapper? Because what I would tell you is think about it like this. At least, and I'd say 7 or 8 states, you could pick 5 rappers and viably build out a top 50. And New Orleans would be one of those places that actually has an influx. There's about 5 or 7 places that have an influx of rappers, and you might be able to make your own top 10 or 15 right there. Cali, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Texas, Louisiana.
Top 3 off the top of my head, and we're going to get into this more when we talk Juvenile. I'm going to say Wayne, Juvenile.
Wayne's number 1.
And Mystical. We'll talk about the rest. But there could be an argument for Currency over Mystical too, honestly, for the consistency, longevity, and those things.
Do you think Jay Electronica deserves to register?
Soldier
Slim did enough before he died to register, so I'm not worried about him registering.
I'd put BG over somebody like Jay Elect. I mean,
I'm cool with BG.
Just for what he means to the city, and Soldier Slim too. I think that Jay Elect is a great MC and a great artist, but did the stuff that he make really speak to that market? And maybe I'm not the person to ask for that because I'm from Atlanta. I'm not from New Orleans. You know what I mean?
So Wayne's number 1, Juvie's number 2. Is that clear?
That's what I got, yeah.
So Cash Money got the best 2.
Yeah.
And, I mean, wouldn't you have BG probably at 5? Because I would think –
yeah.
Because when I think about it objectively, well, after those 2 guys, after Wayne and Juvie, I'm with you. I'm kind of cool with going Mystical.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the clear 3rd guy for me.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to go currency, I'm cool with that.
I'm okay with that. And then BG.
The BG at 5. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Cash Money got 3 of the 5.
Shit, and they had currency too.
Ugh.
Let's talk about It Was Written real quick.
Oh, hold on. You don't want to stay in NO?
I mean, we can.
Yeah, I kind of want to stay in NO. Yeah,
you want to stay in NO?
Yeah.
We can go there, and then we can go to It Was Written after that. We got a super chat, too. Blue Collar Hustle says, hip-hop is dead and Kingdom Come did move. Hip-hop is dead was Nas's biggest first week since I Am, and outsold Jeezy's first week. It's Nas' last platinum plaque. Okay. And that was his first Def Jam album, too. Notable. Okay, so...
Go look at the first week sales and go look at the rest of the sales. That album didn't move.
I guess it moved the first week, right? Christopher Hogan with the super chat
that
says...
That ain't moving.
Soulja Slim is the GOAT, and I'm from Louisiana. See, there it is. We need Christopher Hogan's input here.
See?
So
that's why you see why I brought up Soulja Slim, because I know how cats in the NO feel about Soulja Slim. He's actually, for a lot of them, he's their favorite guy.
They say him... Yeah, my people in New Orleans say...
Mac.
Mac, too. They say that Soulja Slim... Fiend. Now, you know what? We'll talk about